TD Bank pled guilty to multiple felonies, including conspiring to violate the Bank Secrecy Act and commit money laundering. TD Bank has also agreed to a $1.8 billion criminal penalty. Combined with civil enforcement actions announced today by other agencies, the United States will be imposing a total of approximately $3 billion against TD Bank. TD Bank created an environment that allowed financial crime to flourish. By making its services convenient for criminals, it became one. Today, TD Bank became the largest bank in U.S. history to plead guilty to Bank Secrecy Act program failures and the first bank in history to plead guilty to conspiracy to commit money laundering. This is also the largest ever penalty under the Bank Secrecy Act and the first time the Justice Department has assessed a daily fine against a bank. As part of the plea agreement, TD Bank will fundamentally restructure its corporate compliant program at its U.S.-based bank, which is the 10th largest in the United States. The bank has also agreed to the imposition of a 3-year monitorship and a 5-year term of probation. While the bank has started its remediation, it will continue to remediate and improve its anti-money laundering compliance program to ensure that the bank operates lawfully and safely moving forward. In addition to obtaining today's corporate felony pleas, the Justice Department has also prosecuted 24 individuals for their involvement in money laundering schemes that moved over $670 million in illicit funds through TD Bank accounts. So far, the Justice Department has charged 2 TD Bank employees for their involvement in one of these schemes. Pursuant to the plea agreement, TD Bank is required to fully cooperate with the Justice Department's investigation of the bank and any of its officers, directors, and employees. If the bank fails to do so, it will again be subject to criminal prosecution in which the statement of facts that are part of the plea agreement may be used as evidence against it. Our criminal investigations into individual employees at every level of TD Bank are active and ongoing. As is the case in all corporate criminal matters, no one involved in TD Bank's illegal conduct will be off limits. We will follow the evidence wherever it leads. Federal anti-money laundering laws are designed to prevent criminals from using U.S. banks to fuel their crimes. Our laws dictate that the narcotics traffickers who flood our communities with deadly drugs cannot use American financial institutions to move their money. And our anti-money laundering laws dictate that a bank that willfully fails to protect against criminal schemes is also a criminal. That is what TD Bank was, because it failed to maintain an adequate anti-money laundering program between January 2014 and October 2023. Over a 6-year period, TD Bank failed to monitor $18.3 trillion in customer activity. As TD Bank admitted in its plea agreement, this allowed 3 money laundering networks to transfer over $670 million through TD Bank accounts. At least one of those schemes involved 5 TD Bank employees.
So you heard yourself that the bank has pleaded guilty to money laundering. Now y'all remember how we always explain the Suing v. Trust and how the way the banks became the third party and that was never supposed to happen. And they started exchanging our credit into debit, which is the dollar bills we have, which is the debt notes, promissory notes. And as I said, they keep the credit and give credit to all the other businesses. But just in case y'all forgot, I told y'all like last year, even past last year, the last 2 years or so, these banks been filing for bankruptcy because they knew they would go to court and get charged. So they hid their money because they money launderers. But the thing I find funny about it is that the United States is suing them. And the United States is complicit into the whole scheme with the banks. So y'all see how they enslaved us by the corporations this time, right? As a front. I mean, it's so bad if you really just sit here and think about it. You know how many stores you probably went in and they had the same clothes or the same items every time for weeks, months, even years. But how are they still running? By the credit they're stealing from us. Specifically, the real Americans, which are the ones that's enslaved. As I was saying, they enslaved us by the corporations. Like I say, it's a front. That's why we had the straw man, so on and so forth, Social Security numbers, Social Security trust. Like everything correlates to each other, all into the spiritual war. But like last time, this is when they took all the quote unquote war criminals to trial, charged them, but then they bring in people from the war to run governments over here. As I told y'all before, we never won the world wars. We are literally still in it. They do all that to set it up to be like I say, a front, so we don't see what they're actually doing. But you got people like me that telling you clearly what they're doing well before they did it. So now all the banks about to be going to court, as y'all can see. But it's all in order to make another front so they can push in the cryptocurrency. The new banks that try to lock you in because they cannot pay you back. All the credit that they owe us, hence the war. Honestly, it's a bunch of other things going on too, and they just really trying to take your soul. But they don't want you to have control over your energy in between this time. But yeah, like I told y'all see, it's more and more just happening and going down because you really can't explain that. And also, I want you to notice how the way when they charge that bank, they basically explain the charges as if it was a person, because the whole court system is a fraud and it works with the banking system. Anyways, y'all know how I keep it. Y'all be guys. Hey.